Welcome to study session 8, Cost, Volume, Profit Analysis. Introduction. This lecture examines the relationship between cost, volume, and profit. You would have observed from lecture 6 that marginal cost varies directly with the volume of production or output. As volume or unit changes, variable cost varies as per the change in volume. In this case, selling price remains constant, fixed cost remains fixed, and there is a change in profit. Understanding the relationship among these elements is necessary in order to achieve the maximum profit. Objective. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to analyze how cost and profit relates to level of activity using equations and graphs. Purpose of CVP analysis. CVP analysis is broadly known as cost, volume, profit analysis. Relationship among cost, revenue, and profit at different levels may be expressed in graphs such as break-even charts, profit-volume graphs, or in various statement forms. Two of the important factors that affect profit are the cost of production and volume of sales. These factors are interdependent. Volume of sales depend upon the volume of production and market demand. Management has no control over market. In order to achieve certain level of profitability, it has to exercise control and management of costs, mainly variable costs. This is because fixed cost is a non-controllable cost in the short run. Factors that determine the cost include volume of production, product mix, internal efficiency, and productivity of the factors of production, methods of production and technology, size of batches, size of plants, and so on. The cost volume profit analysis gives the complete picture of the profit structure. CVP analysis can be done by the use of graph or equations. No matter the approach, benefits of CVP analysis include the following. 1. It provides necessary information for accurate profit planning and forecast. 2. It is helpful in setting up flexible budget, which indicates costs at various levels of activities. 3. It assists in evaluating performance for the purpose of control. 4. It may assist management in formulating pricing policies by projecting the effect of different price structures on cost and profit. Assumptions of CVP analysis. The following are the assumptions on which the theory of CVP is based. 1. The changes in the level of various revenue and cost arise only because of the changes in the number of product or service units produced or sold. The number of output units to be sold is the only revenue and cost driver. 2. Total cost can be divided into a fixed component and a component that is variable with respect to the level of output. 3. When put on a graph, the behavior of total revenue and cost is linear, that is a straight line. 4. The unit selling price, unit variable cost, fixed cost, and technology are constant. 5. The analysis either covers a single product or assumes that the sales mix sold in case of multiple products will remain constant as the level of total units sold changes. 6. All revenue and costs can be added and compared without taking into account the time value of money. 7. The theory of price elasticity is not taken into consideration. CVP equations. Contribution. This is the difference between sales and marginal or variable costs. It is the contribution of a particular sales unit towards fixed costs and profit. The concept of contribution helps in deciding break-even point and profitability of products. Before a firm can make a profit in any period, it must first of all cover its fixed costs. Contribution is equal to sales less variable costs. Variable costs or marginal cost is the cost of the product that keeps changing with a change in the volume of production. Sales is the total amount of turnover in monetary terms. Profit. This is the profit after deducting the fixed cost from contribution. It is equal to contribution less fixed costs. Fixed cost is the cost of the product that does not change over a period, even with a change in the volume of production. Profit volume ratio, that is PV ratio. This is the ratio of contribution to sales. It is also referred to as contribution or sales ratio, CS ratio. This is the contribution per sales in monetary value, and since the fixed cost remains constant in the short-term period, PV ratio will also measure the rate of change of profit due to change in volume of sales. The result of these formula can be in decimal, fraction, or percentage. A fundamental property of CVP analysis is that CS ratio remains constant at different levels of activity. The concept of PV ratio helps in determining break-even point, profit at any volume of sales, and sales volume required to earn a desired level of profit. PV ratio can change only with changes in either selling price or variable cost per unit. Break-even point, BEP. This is the volume of sales or production where there is neither profit nor loss. It is the sales unit or value where total sales revenue for a period just covers fixed costs, leaving neither profit nor loss. For every unit sold in excess of the break-even point, profit will increase by the amount of the contribution per unit. From equation 2b, break-even point occurs when contribution equals fixed cost. Thus, at break-even point, the contribution is just sufficient to cover the fixed cost. Break-even point can be calculated either in terms of units or in terms of cash or in terms of capacity utilization. To obtain the required sales units or value for achieving a target profit, the BEP formula can be adapted as follows. Margin of safety. Every enterprise tries to be conscious of the extent to which it operates above the break-even point. This is technically called margin of safety. It is calculated as the difference between sales or production units at the selected activity and the break-even sales or production. Margin of safety is the difference between the total sales, actual or projected, and the break-even sales. It may be expressed in monetary terms or as a number of units, that is volume. The size of margin of safety is an extremely valuable guide to the strength of a business. If it is large, the organization can continue to make profit under situation of substantial fall in sales level. On the other hand, if margin is small, a small fall in sales may be a serious matter. Margin of safety can be improved upon by lowering fixed and variable costs, increasing volume of sales or selling price, and changing product mix to accommodate more of profitable items. The equations for margin of safety are shown below. Example 1. A company producing a single article sells it at 10 naira each. The marginal cost of production is 6 naira each, and fixed cost is 400 naira per annum. You are required to calculate the following. 1. Profits for annual sales of 1 unit, 50 units, 100 units, and 400 units. 2. PV ratio. 3. Break-even sales in units and in naira sales. 4. Sales, that is units and naira, to earn a profit of 500 naira. 5. Profit as sales of 3,000. 6. Margin of safety at sales of 400 units. 7. New break-even point in naira if sales price is reduced by 10%. The solution is shown below. Multiple product situations. In real life, most of the firms turn out many products. The assumption is that the sales mix remains constant. The calculation of break-even point in a multi-product firm follows the same pattern as in a single product firm. While the numerator will be the same fixed cost, the denominator will now be weighted average contribution margin. The modified formula is as follows. Weights are assigned in proportion to the relative sales of all products. It can be the contribution margin of each product multiplied by its quantity. Break-even point in sales revenue. The denominator will now be weighted average contribution margin ratio, which is called weighted average PV ratio. The modified formula is shown as follows. CVP graph. Apart from the use of equations, break-even chart and profit graphs are useful graphic presentations of cost-volume profit relationship. Break-even chart is a device which shows the relationship between sales volume, marginal costs and fixed costs, and profit or loss at different levels of activity. Such a chart also shows the effect of change of one factor on other factors and exhibits the rate of profit and margin of safety at different levels. A break-even chart contains inter alia, total sales line, total cost line, and the point of intersection called break-even point. It is popularly called break-even chart because it shows clearly break-even point. Profit graph is a development of simple break-even chart and shows clearly profit at different volumes of sales. Construction of a break-even chart. The construction of a break-even chart involves the drawing of fixed cost line, total cost line, and sales line as follows. 1. Select a scale for production on horizontal axis and a scale for costs and sales on vertical axis. 2. Plot fixed cost on vertical axis and draw fixed cost line passing through this point parallel to horizontal axis. Plot variable cost for some activity levels starting from the fixed cost line and join these points. This will give total cost line. Alternatively, obtain total cost at different levels, plot the points starting from horizontal axis and draw total cost line. Plot the maximum or any other sales volume and draw sales line by joining 0 and the points so obtained. The angle formed by sales revenue line and total cost line at break-even point is referred to as the angle of incidence. It is common to find break-even chart in which fixed cost is represented by an area rather than a line. In such a graph, contribution can be shown clearly. Profit graph. Profit graph is a simple chart that clearly exhibits the relationship of profit to volume of sales. The construction of profit graph is relatively easy and the procedure involves the following. 1. Selecting a scale for the sales on horizontal axis and another scale for profit and fixed costs or loss on vertical axis. The area above horizontal axis is called profit area and the one below is called loss area. 2. Plotting the profits of corresponding sales and joining them. This is profit line. Sensitivity analysis, or what if analysis and uncertainty. Sensitivity analysis is a what if technique that managers use to examine how a result will change if the original predicted data are not achieved or if an underlying assumption changes. In the context of CVP analysis, sensitivity analysis answers such questions as the following. A. What will be the operating income if units sold decrease by X% from original prediction? B. What will be the operating income if variable cost per unit increases by Y%? The sensitivity of operating income to various possible outcomes broadens the perspective of management regarding what might actually occur before making cost commitments. A spreadsheet can be used to conduct CVP-based sensitivity analysis in a systematic and efficient way. With the help of a spreadsheet, this analysis can be easily conducted to examine the effect and interaction of changes in selling prices, variable cost per unit, fixed cost, and target operating incomes. Example: given that fixed costs can be 2,000, take 2. Given that fixed costs can be 2,000, 2,500 or 3,000, while variable cost per unit can be 100, 120 or 140. If selling price per unit is 200, the CVP analysis statement that shows the sales level required to achieve profit level of 0, 1,000, 1,500 or 2,000 is shown below. 1. Limitations of cost volume profit analysis. The CVP analysis is generally made under certain assumed conditions, some of which may not occur in practice. The following are the main limitations of the cost volume profit analysis. 1. It is assumed that the production facilities anticipated for the purpose of CVP analysis is constant. Such analysis gives misleading results if expansion or reduction of capacity takes place. 2. In case where a variety of products with varying margins of profit are produced, it is difficult to forecast with reasonable accuracy the volume of sales mix which would optimize the profit. 3. The analysis will be correct only if cost price and selling price remain fairly constant, which in reality is difficult to find. Thus, if a cost reduction program is undertaken or selling price is changed, the relationship between cost and profit will not be accurately depicted. 4. In cost volume profit analysis, it is assumed that variable costs are perfectly and completely variable at all levels of activity, and fixed cost remains constant throughout the range of volume being considered. However, such situations may not arise in practical situations. 5. It is assumed that the changes in opening and closing inventories are not significant, though sometimes they may be significant. Summary: sales, variable cost, and contribution vary directly with the number of units. Thus, when the number of units produced or sold increases, the sales, the variable cost, and the contribution also increase pro rata. On the contrary, when number of units goes down, the sales, the variable cost, and contribution are also lower. Thus, there is a direct relationship between volume, variable cost, and contribution. This is known as the volume cost profit relationship. The profit volume ratio indicates this relationship. Cost volume profit analysis can answer many analytical questions such as: what is the break-even revenue of an organization? 2. How many revenue does an organization need to achieve a budgeted profit? What level of price change affects the achievement of budgeted profit? What is the effect of cost changes on the profitability of an operation? We have come to the end of study session 8. Thanks for listening.